Okay,
Ah!
we're going live in 3, 2, 1. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the I believe this is the fourth SNHS
Yes, it's the
live
fourth.
Yes.
stream lecture thing. We're so glad you all can join us here today. As a reminder, if you are an SHS, go ahead and type your ID number into the chat so we can correctly give you your points. And if you're not an SHS, thank you so very much for coming here tonight. We're glad you can join us. Tonight we have a really special presentation from two of our officers. Just as a general reminder, this is a school-sanctioned event, so make sure you are respectful and responsible in chat. And hopefully someone actually asks questions this time. If you do have any questions, please do leave them in the chat, and we will answer them in the middle or towards the end, wherever the question breaks are. But I believe that's it. Without further ado, I'm going to hand it off to Justin and Thida.
Hey guys, so today Thida and I are going to present or talk to you guys about origami and its application in engineering. So first, we just wanted to go ahead and introduce ourselves a little. So first of all, I am Justin Banh, and I am currently serving as president of Science National Honor Society. And Thida?
Hi, my name is Thida. I am the Secretary of Events.
And Thida, didn't you want to show them something as well?
Oh, yes. So, for some of y'all who know me, I do a lot of random origami, but I feel like I haven't ever truly explored it too much. But I have dabbled a little bit. It's been something that I've been doing since I was little, and it's just a small little thing that I enjoy. Later on at the end of the lecture, I will show you how to make this to the best of my abilities. But for the most part, I just experiment, watch some random videos, learn how to do some random stuff, and it's fun.
Yeah, so we're just going to go through what we're going to go through. So first, what we just did was our quick introduction. Next, we're going to talk about the history of origami, then the application, the science behind it, and like Thida said, at the end, we're going to show you how to fold a paper crane. So let's get started.
So the history of origami begins with a very simple invention, paper.
Yeah, the word origami originates from the Japanese words olu, which means to fold, and kami, paper. So literally, if you put these words together, olu and kami, you get origami, and it quite literally means to fold paper. So paper was invented in China in the year 105 AD and came to Japan in the 16th century. At the time, paper was mostly used by Japanese monks. They're only during religious ceremonial practices, because at the time there's no industrialized way to mass produce paper. So the process to make paper was very expensive, very grueling. So because of that, paper became was at the time very luxurious and set at a high price.
But by the end of the Edo period, paper became cheaper and more easy to produce. And today, millions of people use the once pricey supply as well, what you always use for paper, origami, folding, pencil, just schoolwork.
Yep, and just to give you guys a bit of a context of what the Edo period is, it's 1603 to 1868, and this was when Japan was under the Tokugawa shogunate. If you know, this is just like basically the stereotypical what you guys see in media, all the samurais and stuff like that. So this is when paper became more accessible in Japan, more of a commoner thing, I want to say. But one such method that people used this paper in the modern time was origami.
And currently, modern day origami is characterized by pre-planned design. So, Justin, if you can go to the next slide.
Yep.
As you can see, as part of pre-planned design, there's a lot of lines, a lot of folds, And even though the one on the right has a bunch of numbers and the one on the left has colors, each of those numbers and colors signify and identify different types of folds. There are many different types of folds, mountain folds, valley folds, those are your main ones. You have squash, petal, a lot of others. But just by following those patterns or creating those patterns, you can learn how to fold many different things.
Oh shoot. Give me a second. I'm sorry. So though origami is a very old practice, like it can be, like we said earlier, dating back to the 6th century of Japan, it is still very well known across the world. For example, I'm sure most of you guys, or not most of you guys, at least some of you guys have heard of the tale Sadeko. I'm not sure. I'm sorry if I'm butchering that, but Sadeko and the 1,000 paper cranes. This was the legend that that if you folded 1,000 paper cranes in your lifetime, you would have great luck.
And from a very quick Google search, if you wanted to do it, it will take about 50 hours. Someone did it, but their time for each paper crane was about 3 minutes. So if you can do that consistently, 50 hours, and you'll get a wish from the gods.
But for the most part, the inspiration for the modern reemergence of origami can be traced back to a man named Akira Yoshizawa. This man was a Japanese origamist, and he wrote a book on origami. And this man inspired the modern origami you guys are probably very familiar with today. His works, techniques, and books are mostly credited for the reemergence of origami today as well.
And now modern origami is being incorporated into the STEM field.
So origami has a couple of real-world applications that Thida and I are going to go through with you guys now. So lithium-ion batteries, if you guys aren't aware of what lithium-ion batteries are, it's rechargeable batteries. It's most likely the battery type that's inside of your phone you're watching this on, your laptop you're watching this on, and the camera that's recording me right now. So these are just everyday rechargeable batteries. And the way these rechargeable batteries store their power cells is in sheets. So sheets reminiscent of the same shape as paper. So through the use of origami, engineers are able to maximize the efficiency of these batteries in finding the best way to fold the sheets in such a way to fit in the compact size of a battery. The next one is car airbags. So in car airbags, they use a different form of origami known as soft origami, because as an airbag would not stay in place as paper would, so they have to use different techniques. So in order to fit these airbags in the small compartments available to them in vehicles, they have to fold it in such a way that it can fit. The last one I'm going to talk about before I hand it off to Thida is space telescopes. NASA looked to origami to help design a shade to block starlight, and through blocking this starlight, they'd be able to see further into the universe and see deeper space objects. They've dubbed this project the Star Shade, and yeah, I just found that interesting. So I'm gonna hand it off to Thida. She's gonna talk to you about these.
So essentially the first one, bulletproof shield. I'm sure at least a couple of you have seen it before, but essentially from what the picture says, it's a compact, it's a way of making a very large and for the most part tiring to carry around object and compressing it into a small condensed space that's easier for transportation and getting to places quickly. This also applies to the origami solar array, which implements the same the same yeah, which implements the same similar designs at least. So Justin, if you can you switch to the other? Play that first. So in that video, I just wanted to show a quick time lapse of the process of trying to fold these mura. So the style is a mura. So that's a folding technique that's used to essentially get a large sheet and condense it into a smaller area. That video was never completed because it took me about an hour to figure out how to fold them. But eventually I did get the hang of it after many guides, and I got this result. Justin, if you can exit out and go to the top-down view, please.
Oh, that's Adam.
I just stop screen share.
So if you can see, this is a small, very condensed piece of paper, but when opened up, it opens in such a way that's easy to fold back in and easy to transport. And it folds into a spiral orientation. So after I finish showing this, in the next slide, it'll show the original Mira folding technique. This is I wouldn't say updated version, but I'd say it's a more complex version that has its various uses. You can go back. So that is the slide example that I was talking about. You can see the difference between, if you can go to the next slide real quick, between the previous design and that design, where the second one centers to the middle in a spiral shape, and then the previous one opens up in a more rectangular shape. And then, so people use origami, or at least in the STEM field, people use origami not just as an art, but also as a way of, as you saw previously, condensing a large object into a smaller one. And in order to get these patterns, you're mostly used to, I'd assume that you're used to typical nature type origami, like lilies and cranes and all the such. But in order to get more simple but complex shapes to condense down, there's a lot of math that's involved. On the picture to the right, this is an example of the nature side. There aren't too many about the in regards to the STEM side, because those steps are only implemented from the previous nature steps. But in the picture on the right, that is how origamists block out different sections, or like different, if you see like different limbs or different sections of the piece. So that method is called circle packing, and you basically just block out, circle what sections are which. And then eventually all of those sections, all of those patterns, they eventually, more and more people start to use them and they become more common. That's where you get the bird base, which is the smaller picture at the bottom. A bird base basically is a way you get a square piece of paper and you're able to make it have many sections. For example, the bird base has 4 sections, but if you were to add on to it, you can add more and more sections and get more and more, and get closer to what you're trying to aim for in terms of artistic design. Justin, do you want to take this?
Oh, so yep. That concludes the. I don't want to. the mostly talking part of our lecture. Thida is going to demonstrate on camera how to fold a paper crane that we've been talking about, and that's talked about in the Legend of Sadeko and the Thousand Cranes. If you would like to follow along or just want to watch, if you want to follow along, please grab a piece of printer paper. But if you just want to watch, that's perfectly okay as well.
But do join if you have the time.
I will also be participating.
As will I.
So, I will be honest. I've never actually taught anyone how to fold anything, and this is, though it's not the most complex thing, it's not the easiest either. But it is a very common thing to fold, and most people enjoy folding them. So if you have, so I'm using just a regular piece of printer paper, but in order to get it into a square, I'm sure at least a few of you have done this before, you grab one corner and you fold it across, and then you want to meet it at the other corner. This way you'll get a square. You just fold it down that diagonal line, and then you have this edge piece. I already cut mine out. There are two methods that you can use to cut it out, unless you have more methods of cutting paper that I don't know of. One of them involves just your typical scissors. When I'm on the go, I don't use the scissor method because I just don't have scissors. And when you don't use scissors, you get, I'm not sure if you can see it, but you can see the fibers of the paper when you rip the paper. But I just cut it because it's simpler. But if you want to get the edge cut, I'm also stalling for time in case ever people want to go grab a piece of paper. But you fold down along this edge and you'll just crease it. I crease it 2 or 3 times maybe, and I just run my nail over the piece of paper. And then once you feel like you folded it and creased it enough times, that section will weaken, because when you crease something over and over, your paper tends to get weaker. Once you do that, you'll tear a little bit of the edge, and then using the flat palms of your hand, you'll rip the ends off. And it's pretty clean, though you can't avoid the fibery bits. But anyway, hopefully y'all all have your papers now. You'll have this. So you want to mirror this line on the other side, so you meet one corner to the other, and then you'll just fold along the diagonal. It doesn't have to be perfect, because this part won't matter too much. Eventually, actually, these 4 corners, 2 of them will make the wings, and 2 of them will make the head and the tail. But you have your cross section in X, if you can see. You'll fold it in half. And just make sure, you don't have to crease it too hard, but just make sure you have your crease, because these end up being your guidelines to how you fold it later. And then once you have that, you fold it in half again the other way. And once you have that, you'll choose a side to fold. Just have it in half. And then if you can see the guideline you made, you will fold that down this way. And then you don't have to flip it over, but I like to flip it over. You'll flip over the paper and then fold it the other way. And then now you have a triangle. So this is, so if you see, you have this opening and this opening. You want to take the middle opening, open it up, and then squash it down. And now this is what I was talking about how different methods of folding paper, you can get different flaps. But now, now we're going to start making the wings, tail, and head. So this is a guideline, but it's really helpful for beginners. You'll fold this corner and meet it into the middle line that you have. And then you'll just fold down. And then you'll do that on the other side. And make sure you don't want to be too rough with the piece of paper because again, it's still paper and it'll rip. Once you do that, you can open it up, flip it over, and do the same thing on the other side. And then once you've done that, you want to open up, if you can see, you want to open up this top bit. Open it like this. So it's kind of like a mouth. But then you look at your guides and you fold where the guides are. This part can be not exactly tricky, but hard to get even. So I like to just ease up into the center area and just fold up along the line. And then make sure this middle area will be a little annoying to work with, but just follow your guides and you'll get to it. And then you want to fold the upper part and then just fold it all down. And then you have to repeat that 3 more times. So again, you just basically tuck in the piece of paper, follow the guidelines, and crease down. Then you flip over your paper and do the same thing again. The closer you get to the points and the tips of the paper, the more precise it'll look. But it doesn't, in the end, it doesn't matter too much how close it is, because if you can see, mine doesn't touch completely, but it doesn't matter too much in the end. So once you get to that, Justin, Adam, be my timers.
I'm only 2 flaps in, so give me a second.
Oh, while y'all are doing that, I wanted to show y'all, I have 2 lilies. One lily I just wanted to use as an example of what it looks like, and this one I'm going to destroy. So remember when I was talking about different fold lines? So I don't know if you remember, but one of the pictures had numbers. I just wanted to show you, it's pretty, I'm sure y'all can assume. Oh, I've never actually opened one of these up. But when you open them up, you'll see all the lines. And with them, it makes it kind of easier to like figure out the folding techniques and various folds, because so here you have a mountain fold, it goes up, valley fold goes down. There are a couple squash folds that I didn't show. Justin, did you catch up? Okay, so we have this. You want the foot bits, I don't know what to call them, the foot bits to be down, and then you want to fold this up. And then you do the same thing on the other side. Now, I wish I remembered how to make the flapping bird. I'm sure a couple of y'all have seen that. I believe to make it, you skip the part that I'm doing right now, that I'm going to do later, or in just a second. But I personally don't really like the Flappy Birds too much. I prefer the original crane. But basically, you have your diamond. And at the feet parts, you need to make sure you do it on the right side. You'll fold this in and to meet the center. And then you want the edges to meet. And then you'll just fold down. Did that make sense?
You might want to show the fold again, Thida.
Okay, so once again, you see this edge, this edge is going to meet this middle line, and you'll just fold it. This area has a lot of paper there, so it might be a little difficult to finagle, but eventually you'll get your crease. And then it's just folded. And then, like most things in origami, it has to be symmetrical, so you flip it over and do the same thing on the other side. And just make sure these creases are really tight because there's a lot of layers of paper. And these two pieces are going to end up being your heads and your tail. You want a clean crease and a very tight crease because you don't want them to be loose when you eventually fold down the head. So now you have these clean edges, correct? Justin?
Somewhat.
Adam?
Yeah, it looks like a little spear.
So now here's the part where it all comes together. So you flip it to the side, and you see it opens right here, correct?
It does.
With that, you grab the leg-looking bit, and you fold it up. And about now, you should start seeing how the crane looks. So you fold that leg bit up, and then you flip it over and do the same thing on the other side. And then you just fold it in half. It should be pretty easy because you just follow the fold lines. And now you just you just fold down the whole thing, get all the flaps down. Now you have that. So now here's the very, very difficult part. You fold the wings down.
Oh, I don't think I can do that.
It's very difficult, I know. But once you get there, you're almost done. So now you have the basics of the crane. One thing I forgot to mention was that before you started folding all the things down, when you had that diamond shape, that was what is known as the bird base. So now you have the 2 points for the head and the tail. I like to choose the not so nice side. Like, for example, I'd choose like this side as my head so that it just looks a little like less squashed. So when you do the head, you want to open up with your finger. You want to flatten out that part. And then if you can see, you'll just fold it down and it'll make some sort of a U shape or a V shape. And then you just fold that part down. And now this is just more for decoration and just being nitpicky. I like to pull the tail a little bit this way and then make a new crease down here so that the tail and the head face different directions. And then I'll do that on both sides. And then there you go. You have yourself a little crane. That's it.
How'd I do?
I hope you did very well, Justin. Though your crane looks kind of sad.
One thing I like to do that Thida absolutely despises is I like to pull my wings out a little bit so you get like a nice poofy body. Your crane is like has a more substantial body. Not a very traditional thing to do, but you can do it.
It reminds me of the cube, in which you have like a diamond shape and you just press down the top and the bottom to make it like to fill it up. But yeah, that's it. You have yourself a little crane. I hope the directions were okay to follow. I hope you could follow them. I hope you participated, and I'm glad at least at the end of this lecture, even if you don't absorb any information, you at least leave with a nice little crane.
If you did make yourself a crane, please send us a picture of it on Remind, even if it's a crumpled ball. We'd still like to see it, please. Maybe
tweet at us.
Tweet at us. Maybe if we get enough, we'll make a social media post of a compilation of all of our little paper cranes, and we'll post it. So, I don't. Is there any questions that anyone would have about the lecture, about the crane? about anything actually. Because if
Well,
there
from
aren't,
past experiences, I don't think there were any questions, but
yeah.
Yes, I don't know. We'll give some people some time. I need to tweet my my crane. Oh, there we go. Oh, that's terrible. Does anyone have any questions? Who knows?
I highly doubt it. Though I would just like to appreciate my 3 dragons. They look very janky, but with enough patience, they look kind of cool.
Are there any questions, Adam?
No, there are no questions. I don't think so. So, thank you all
Alright.
very much for coming today. It's always a pleasure to have so many people tune into the live streams. We will have our next live stream, I believe, 2 weeks from now.
Exactly 2 weeks from now.
yes.
Yes.
Exactly 2 weeks from now, and we hope to see you all there.
Make sure you guys like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell next to the subscribe button so you get a notification when we go live, of course.
Yes.
So you don't miss a single one of our lectures, of course. Thank you guys so
None
much
of
for
y'all
watching.
would want to miss it.
Yes, and if you did make a paper crane, send it to us via remind, or you could tweet at us at Creek SNHS. Y'all very much for
Or
coming.
you can send a picture to us privately.
Whatever you want to do. Thank you all very much for coming. Have a fantastic and wonderful night. Enjoy the rest of your week. And the stream is over.